How you guys doing? My name is Bryan Williams. I'm the game designer on WWE 12.
So let's talk about what's new for WWE 12.
We got a lot of new things for this year's game. Obviously, when we talk about new things, the name of the game is new. You know, SmackDown vs. Raw has been put to pasture. We are now WWE 12, brand new relaunch of the franchise. And with that rebrand, that relaunch of the franchise, one of our big new features this year is, surprise, surprise, gameplay. We really wanted to focus and put all of our energies towards strengthening our core gameplay experience because, without that, you really don't have much of a game to play. You know, if it's not fun to play, anything else that we'll try to sell you guys doesn't mean anything because you're just like, well, that's cool, but it's not fun when I get into the ring. So our emphasis this year was to just, shoehorn and put together our gameplay so that it flowed better, it played better. The animations, we have a new animation engine this year to help improve with the transitions and whatnot, just to get away from the clunkiness of previous games.
Talk about the speed and how the match has been sped up a bit.
Yes, we definitely sped up the pace of the match. In previous games, you would start the match and right from the get-go, if you got knocked down, you spent way more time on the ground than was necessary. So this year we combined the selling with the rising. So if you get bumped, your character will automatically stand up, getting ready back for that fight while selling the affected appendage or whatever. Which is went one way, just to speed the gameplay up, so that now it's more like you see on programming. When you see one guy get knocked to the ground, at the beginning he'll pop up. But as the match progresses, you'll see that he stays on the ground a little bit longer, until the finish comes. So that as a defender, you're not just sitting there mashing on buttons, trying to get your character up. So, that coupled with our new animation system and the blending that we've implemented this year has gone a long way towards increasing the pace of the match and just making everything look that much more fluid and realistic.
Talk a little about the visuals because there's a lot more depth now, and also everything seems to have physics involved around the ring and in the ring.
Yeah, we've definitely beefed. Like we implemented physics last year, and this year, with the weapons we did last year. We have that in WWE 12, but as you mentioned, with the ring environment, we just, ratcheted it up another notch. The ring will behave realistically to the bumps that you incur. You'll see the rope shake and vibrate. And just the presentation of the game, we really wanted to mimic to a T what it looks like when you watch Raw versus when you play the game. And it all goes back to I mentioned the new animation engine that we have in the game. It's allowed us to add a lot more, specular lighting to the characters. We have depth of field in the crowd now, which we've never had. That just gives that sense of depth between what's going on in the ring versus the crowd, the crowd members behind the superstars and what's going on. And also, we've added physics, again, to not just the superstars and their reactions, but to the ring environment itself. So that every bump, every slam, you'll see the ring bounce and vibrate, and the ropes will react to the bumps and the knocks that goes on in the ring. It's something that we didn't have in last year's game. And it's a small, subtle thing, but I think it's something that you definitely will pick up and notice if you played last year's game or year previous and you boot up WWE 12.
Now, during the gameplay, the submission, talk a little about how you guys have added a little bit more depth to that aspect.
Yes, we've been hearing this for the past couple years that our hardcore fans, and not even hardcore, but just the fans, they wanted something new with their submission gameplay. So this year we gave what they wanted. We have a brand new submission system, what we've dubbed the Breaking Point submission system, named after a pay-per-view that they had recently, which was a pay-per-view surrounding submission finishes. And what it is, if you've kind of gone back to a classical style of submission gameplay, where all the functionality relies on the face buttons. So as the attacker, you want to mash the buttons to fill up the breaking point meter all the way to the red, whereas the defender wants to curtail that and empty the red so that it's all black. But one of the cool things with the submission system this year is that for the very first time, not only in our game, but I think in any wrestling game, and I've played my fair share of wrestling games, you can now manually crawl towards the ropes when you've been put in a submission. No more phantom rope breaks, it's all up to you. And it's just one more aspect of us trying to give the player that much more control over the superstar and what they're going through in the ring.
Talk to them about the superstars and how they have unique moves that they can do when they're in a submission, and also how their size impacts what's going on.
Well, in terms of the new moves, we have these comeback feature, which is something that's brand new to the game. And like its name implies, it's a system whereby if you're getting beaten up in a match, you have no recourse, you're just getting hammered. once you hit a certain damage threshold, you're able to initiate one of these special comebacks, which are, tailor-made, have been created specifically for the superstars. So John Cena, for example, if he were in a match and he gets beaten up, I know as surprising as that may be, he can get beaten up really bad in our game. He's able to stage a comeback, which will allow him to launch into his, comeback sequence that he performs on programming, where he does a shoulder block, and then the back suplex that sets him up, right in position for him to hit his five-knuckle shuffle, followed by his attitude-adjusted finisher. So that's just one comeback that we've implemented. We have 10 of them for guys like Randy Orton, Daniel Bryan, The Undertaker, and it's just one more thing that, even when you think you're down and out, but the comeback gives you that one last kind of hurrah to kind of, mount a comeback and, turn the momentum back in your favor. We got something special this year. So just the gameplay I'm really, really excited about. And I guess second to that would be the Create an Arena, which is another create mode that we've added this year. It's brand new. It allows players to create their very own original arena. And it's awesome. I mean, you can customize everything from the apron, the mat, the ropes, the turnbuckle. You can add designs to everything in the in-ring environment. It's a really, really cool feature.